The envelope felt cold in my hands, a stark contrast to the warm, expensive paper. It was thick, the kind used for important documents. My name was typed on the front, not written in the familiar looping script I had loved for 30 years. As I slid my finger under the flap, a part of me already knew. This wasn't a letter. It was a goodbye. And the silence in my big new house had never been louder. My life wasn't always like this. For most of it, it was just me and my daughter, Anya. We lived in a small apartment that always felt full of laughter, of our dreams, of the smell of her favorite pasta cooking on a Tuesday night. We didn't have much, but we had an understanding. A partnership. I worked 2 jobs, my hands often rough, my back often aching, all for one goal: to give her a future I never had. She was my entire world. Everything changed when I turned 50. A small business I had started with a friend years ago, almost as a hobby, was suddenly acquired. The sum was life-altering. Overnight, the worries about rent, about medical bills, about Anya's student loans simply vanished. I bought a beautiful house with a garden. For the first time, I could breathe. At first, it was a dream. Anya was thrilled. "You deserve this, Mama," she'd say, her eyes shining. We planned holidays, I bought her a new car, I paid off her debts. I felt like I had finally secured our happiness. But slowly a shift began. Her visits became less about seeing me and more about the house. Her compliments about my new earrings started to sound like calculations. She began talking about estate planning and protecting assets with a new boyfriend, a financial advisor named Rohan, who spoke in a smooth, confident tone that never quite reached his eyes. I dismissed it. I told myself she was just being practical, looking out for us. The mother in me, the one who had spent a lifetime protecting her, couldn't fathom the quiet greed that was starting to take root. The first real crack appeared on my 53rd birthday. I had planned a small, intimate dinner, just the 2 of us, like old times. But Anya insisted on a grand party at a luxury hotel. "It's what people like us do now, Mama," she said. The guest list was filled with her new, wealthy friends and Rohan's colleagues. I felt like a prop in my own celebration. The bill arrived the next day. My eyes scanned the total, my heart seizing. It was an obscene amount. When I called Anya, my voice trembling, she laughed. "Don't be so old-fashioned, Mom. You can afford it. Besides, Rohan handled the payments. I just gave him your credit card details to make it easier." She had given my credit card to a man I'd known for 6 months. The trust I had built over a lifetime felt like a pane of glass, and I had just heard the first sharp crack. After the birthday party, the temperature of our relationship dropped. Anya's requests became demands. She needed a loan for a new business venture with Rohan. It was a large sum, and something in my gut tightened. I asked to see a business plan. The silence on the other end of the phone was icy. "You don't trust me?" she whispered, her voice laced with hurt. After everything? A week later, I found papers in my home office drawer that had been moved. They were related to the trust fund I had set up for her. When I casually mentioned it, she became defensive. "I was just making sure everything was in order for you." Rohan said these things can be complicated. Then came the day I couldn't access one of my investment accounts. A password had been changed. When I called the bank, they said a request had been made to add another authorized user to the account. The name they gave me was Rohan's. My hands shook as I hung up the phone. I sat at my large, empty dining table, the polished wood feeling cold beneath my fingertips. I was living in a beautiful cage, and the people I loved were slowly, systematically taking away the keys. The loneliness was a physical weight. I'd wander through the spacious rooms, missing the cramped, noisy warmth of our old apartment. I started eating meals alone, the clink of my cutlery the only sound in the vastness. The revelation came not with a shout, but with a whisper. I was looking for a photo album in Anya's old bedroom, which I kept as a guest room. As I pulled a box from the closet, a sleek, new laptop I'd never seen before tumbled out. It must have been left behind after her last visit. It was on, the battery nearly dead. A sticky note was on the screen with a password. A feeling of dread settled in my stomach. I shouldn't, but the silence in the house was screaming at me. I opened it. There on the desktop was a folder named Mum Assets. Inside, I found spreadsheets. My properties, my accounts, my investments, all laid out in cold, clinical detail. And at the bottom of one sheet, a note in Anya's typing. Transfer 75% to my trust upon incapacity clause. Rohan says this is the safest way, incapacity. They weren't just after my money. They were planning for a time when I would no longer be in control. The love I thought was a bond had become a business strategy. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. A strange, calm resolve washed over me. The mother who would have forgiven anything was receding, and the woman who had built a business from nothing was stepping forward. This was no longer a family drama. It was a negotiation for my own life. Quietly, I hired a lawyer, a stern, no-nonsense woman who listened to my story without judgment. I changed all my passwords. I removed Anya and, of course, Rohan from every financial document where they were listed as a contact or beneficiary. I opened new private accounts and began the slow, methodical process of moving my assets. I reached out to my old business partner, the one I truly trusted, and asked her to be the executor of my new ironclad will. Every step I took was silent, legal, and filled with a profound, quiet sorrow. The confrontation happened on a Sunday. Anya and Rohan showed up unannounced, their faces set in smiles that didn't reach their eyes. "Mama," Anya began, "we found a fantastic investment property. We just need you to sign the transfer papers today. It's a time-sensitive opportunity." I offered them tea. I was calm. When they placed the documents in front of me, I didn't even glance at them. I slid a single sheet of paper across the table instead. It was a statement from my new bank with only my name on it. Anya's smile vanished. "What is this?" "This is my life, Anya," I said, my voice steady. "And it is not for you to manage." Rohan started to speak, his tone slick and persuasive. I held up my hand. "I think you should leave now." The authority in my voice surprised even me. The look on my daughter's face was not of anger, but of sheer stunned shock. The power she thought she had was gone. They left. The legal battles were minimal. My paperwork was too solid. Anya and I don't speak now. The silence is still there, but it's a different kind. It's no longer filled with anxiety and fear, but with a sad, dignified peace. I've started volunteering, finding family in other ways. The money is safe, but it taught me the most expensive lesson of my life. I had spent a lifetime building a future for my daughter, but I forgot to teach her about the priceless value of the past we shared. A fortune can buy you a house, but it can't stop the people inside from leaving. If this real-life story resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us tell more calm, emotional stories from everyday life. Thank you for listening.